We're talking about journalists going on the ground and the safety of those journalists, what makes sense for them. And maybe it's time to stop acting like we're talking about protests. Maybe it's time to start acting like you are going into a war zone across enemy lines, quite literally. If these are people who have killed, this guy in Portland is dead. He was killed by a guy with a big red salute on his neck, the Black Lives Matter communist symbol. It's the red salute.
It's crazy.
Shot a guy in the chest, killed him. If we know that we are involved in what people have called a cold civil war, that was this Princeton professor, a Democrat, by the way, said it was a cold civil war a couple of years ago. And to the point now where people have literally been killed and many others have gone to prison in these fights. We need to start treating these things like there's no America right now. Maybe people just don't want to accept it. Maybe we're desensitized to it. But let me explain something. I've talked for a while about civil war. And the left loves to disparage this concept because they need to make sure it's ridiculed. If regular Americans wake up to the fact that their way of life, their jobs, and even their race, just based on their race, they're being attacked and disparaged, having their resources stripped away, well, they might actually get mad about that. So the left loves to say it's not true, it's never going to happen. Well, let's go through a few things. You've got in Washington, they're mandating critical race theory, 1619 project level stuff. They're literally telling children a different history of the United States that makes the U.S. seem like evil, like an evil empire. They tell kids that the country was founded in 1619 as a slavocracy. They are literally flying flags of their ideology at our embassies. The embassy flies the American flag because the American flag represents all Americans. Half this country, more than half actually, do not support Black Lives Matter. You have
it's over half now.
Well, it's over half because some are neutral and many oppose it. So you've got like 48% supporting, 48% opposing, and then like 3% neutral, which means more than half do not support and nearly the same amount oppose it. Yet our embassies are flying a flag of an ideology opposed by half the country. You have schools putting out revisionist history. You have the fleeing from the states are hyperpolarizing. You have institutionalized ideologies that are willing to lie, cheat, and steal and accuse a president of being a Russian spy, accuse people of being white supremacists, and their goal is to make sure regular Americans don't realize it's happening. Which brings me to the story I want to show you. Kids Network, Nickelodeon, rolls out Pride Month content. With imagination, I can be anything I want. Now, I don't care too much, pride content, LGBT rights and all that stuff. I've actually campaigned for many of these organizations.
Don't you want to arm the trans people?
Absolutely, 100%. They should all have guns. However, the issue I'm talking about here with this story is this. In the video, they show what's called the red salute. You know what the red salute is? It's right. Well, you just did it.
Oh, no.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the Chinese Communist Party.
I love how you can do this, but you can't salute that little funny mustache, man. But you can do this, which is actually worse. But
yep, that's
here
right.
we go.
They killed a ton of people.
So
they're all manipulative, authoritarian psychopaths and genocidal maniacs. And right now, the Chinese Communist Party, when they swear someone into the party, they perform the red salute. Nickelodeon is showing the red salute to children. They're getting them to identify with this ideology. So it's time to stop acting like Antifa on the street are anything other than enemy belligerents. They go around destroying buildings, burning them down. They've literally killed people. I can already hear the left saying, but what about the far right who've killed people? Yes, they're lunatics and bad as well. Lock them all up and throw away the key. Now we can deal with the thousands of people across this country, black-clad Antifa, who have been going around causing billions of dollars in damage. And we can ask our State Department politely, please don't fly the flag of this cult dogma ideology that half the country does not support. By all means, you can believe in a bunch of crazy things. Some of these people like flying, some of the people in America, they like flying Confederate flags. Not a big fan. Some of these people like flying BLM flags. Oh, YouTube's going to get me for that one. Not a big fan.
You just dropped the L. That was the internet connection.
Yeah. Some of these people like flying flags of a bunch of different ideologies. There's a flag for Islam or symbols for these things. And I believe people should be allowed to fly them. I don't think our embassies should be flying flags that do not represent the country. However, as we now know, because this woman on MSNBC, a New York Times editorial board member, said she was disturbed by the sight of people with American flags because by showing those flags, they were basically saying it's my country and not yours, which is a paranoid delusion. But it comes a certain point when you have Conflict in the streets for years where people are being killed. Skirmishes. Not a whole lot of death, but some death. Physical destruction of property, attacks on governmental institutions. And yes, there was the riot at the Capitol. You have these things happening. And you know what things happened? Americans are frogs in a pot boiling. Could you imagine if it was 8 years ago, if all of these embassies around the world started flying the Black Lives Matter flag? People would be like, whoa, what's happening? But they do it one step at a time. And now Americans are like, no, everything's normal and fine. Like Antifa's a normal thing. I'm used to it by now. Yes, you are used to the fact that black-clad leftist extremists go around throwing bricks through windows and burning buildings down for over a year consistently and sporadically for the years before that. That's not normal. And now Nickelodeon is running commercials promoting that ideology. There was on Disney Channel, Cassandra Fairbanks tells me about this. They're running anti-Trump commercials for children. What do you? So you can call it whatever you want. You can say we're not in a culture war or a conflict or a civil war. People have died already. The conflict is only escalating. And now you have Joe Biden, engaging in these behaviors. You have our embassies around the world flying a flag that doesn't represent this country. And I'm like, now we're at a point where the American flag is being flown and just below it, Black Lives Matter.
Well,
How long until they say, we're going to take the American flag down just for one day in honor of Black Lives Matter?
Half-mast.
How long until they say, well, we're going to put the American flag at half-mast, but we support, Black lives, so we'll fly Black Lives Matter? How long until they say, well, we don't want to use the words, we're going to do the fist? How long until they say, it's the communist salute and you're going to the gulag? Perhaps it'll never happen. Perhaps it's all just chilling out. And this, right now, everything we're seeing with Nickelodeon promoting the red salute, with these children's programs saying Orange Man bad, with violence in the streets and Andy No getting beat up, maybe this is the moment where everything stops and tomorrow everyone calms down. The only problem, every time I've said that, it just gets worse and keeps escalating.
You're kind of feeding my conspiracy theory that Black Lives Matter and Antifa are working together. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Black Lives Matter gets the picture on the flag, then Antifa uses that picture to justify their behavior.
Yep.
They co-opt their movement, though. I think it's the Antifa members specifically, and I always just say members because they are allegiant to an idea, who are the actual people who are committing a lot of the destructive damage at these events, but they use the cover of Black Lives Mattering to be dismissed, right? Because their goals, or cultural Marxist goals, are to relieve the oppressed, and so somehow Americans should feel like small businesses being destroyed is a justified response to trying to help black people, which is absolute stupidity. The fact that people think that black people need help and it's their job to help them is so asinine and ridiculous. I mean, I have become so emboldened with everyone talking about how black people need help and how black people need this or that. It's like, you know what? How about you stop looking at black people like a monolith of just like this group of people that need help and start realizing people are individuals and there are cultural trends and things that can be addressed. But it's just, if we could stop calling them black people, that would also be great. And then we call them people of color too. Now it's even more, except for Asians are no longer in there because they're white passing.
Well, listen, they don't care about those people. The left does not care. It is white progressives, mainly they're upper class or from the suburbs. They don't care about the black community. They don't care about the Asian community. They don't care about ending Asian hate. They can march around all day and that would stop Asian hate flags and then go beat up Andy No. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. They're perpetuating it because what they really want to do, regular people are the target. So when I say civil war, they say, what a crazy moron, because they don't want regular people to actually listen to what's happening. So I don't say it all the time, but I say it a lot, because I think a lot of people need to recognize what it is. Semantics are important. The left will call their no-go zones autonomous zones. It sounds so fun. It's autonomous zone. Say no-go zone. They're not autonomous zones. They're areas the cops are scared to enter, where people are being killed. George Floyd Square, they call it. No, I call that an extremist no-go zone. That's all I call it. That's it. A far left extremist no-go zone. Why? People are being shot and killed. Bullets are riddling up these buildings, and the cops don't want to go there.
But see, but here's the point, though. That flag is the American flag now, whether you like it or not, because intersectionality, this idea of bringing minority groups together for one common goal, is the result of the reality that multiculturalism does not work. It does not work to have a country that is divided up into subclasses of people who want a different outcome for the nation at equal or greater powers or strengths. It does not work with a biospirit of a nation of people wanting an outcome. If you want an outcome for a nation to be successful or an empire, this is why empires, when they overreach or overexpand their territory, can end up falling apart. There's too much to manage, too many wants and desires from too many groups, and they lose focus. But I'm just saying this, that flag, and the reason why it keeps expanding, I don't know if you saw today that they changed it again to add a circle for intersex people on the left-hand side. The point,
It's actually pushing the rainbow out.
See, yes,
getting rid of
but
it.
this is my point, is this intersectionality is great because what they see as being this white, conservative, straight roadblock to this one world order that they think is a nationalist identity. They need to remove that, but they haven't had enough power to remove that. And even the boogeyman of white supremacy is pretty much ridiculous. But what they do is now they incentivize you of saying like, you're just like you think it's cool to be an American and patriotic. Wait till you're gaytriotic, you know, and you actually get on this train and you join us. Have you ever had a weird thought about the same sex? Oh, you're probably queer. You think Black Lives Matter? You're now a BLM supporter. And it's like these like basic things that humans have gone through, and they start to procure you into saying your identity is with us. And they create a subculture from America that is an amalgamation of all of the microcultures. And in fact, they have become more influential and more powerful than this white sub-dominant silent majority that everyone talks about that doesn't actually exist. And so, you know, it's funny. And then whenever they talk about this, right, like the white replacement theory or these things, they always say these are conspiracy theorists. But then you hear the left talk about this stuff, like to understand the future of the country is to understand immigration and to understand people of color moving in. And they talk about these things. And when you bring them back up, you get called a conspiracy theorist. Why? It's because their ultimate goal is to subvert and undermine our culture, our society. They're using that by taking advantage of these people who are outcasts. They're creating that mixed with a lack of assimilation, and they are dominating. And now they're flying their flags in our embassies. That is, we've been conquered.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.